Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television. We're coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nigecomsat. Thousands of Maiduguri inhabitants have been displaced, with the Nigerian Correctional Service recapturing 3 inmates after a jailbreak, while 80% of animals at the Sanda Kyarimi Park Zoo died as Borno State suffered its most devastating flood disaster in 30 years. Following the disaster, President Bola Tinubu, who is currently abroad, called for the immediate evacuation of residents in communities overtaken by floods. 70% of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, has been submerged by the fast-moving waters, according to the National Emergency Management Agency, while the flood also ravaged other major city locations. Following severe flooding in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, a prison break occurred at the custodial facility in the city, and an unconfirmed number of inmates escaped from the correctional center. Raging flood has caused extensive damage to the prison facility. Rising waters have breached security barriers and weakened structural support, allowing inmates to break free from their confinement. Authorities have confirmed that escapees were considered highly dangerous armed, meaning the threat to public safety in the state already facing insurgency. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Akwa Ibom State Command, has charged its officers to strive towards improved performance for quality service delivery. The state commandant, Mr. Eluyemi Oluwade, gave the charge during the 3rd edition of the Commandant Quarterly Conference in Ikot Ekpene. Oluwade explained that the conference was held to evaluate performance and security threats in the proffer solutions. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted, thunderstorms and rains from Wednesday to Friday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook released in Abuja envisaged thunderstorms over parts of Borno, Adamawa, Taraba, Yobe, Katsina, Sokoto, and Kaduna states during the morning hours on Wednesday in the northern region. According to NIMET, thunderstorms are expected over parts of Kano, Borno, Katsina, Adamawa, Kaduna, Taraba, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Jigawa states during afternoon and evening hours. Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land, Ìbà Gani Abiodun Adams, have voiced out his frustration with President Bola Tinubu, saying the president has disappointed many Nigerians who brought him to power. He criticized the president's handling of the petroleum sector, especially the recent hike in price of premium motor spirit, PMS, otherwise known as petrol, saying the situation is worsening the hardship in the land. He asked the president to reverse what he called the ugly trend. A Delta State-based businessman and All Progressives Congress chieftain, Morrison Olori, has appealed to Nigerians to be patient with President Bola Tinubu's administration as it tackles the current hardships in the country. The policies being initiated by the Tinubu-led administrations are aimed at pulling Nigerians out of poverty. Olori said while briefing journalists in Ughelli, he however called on President Tinubu to lift import duties on food items until local food production is improved. At least 16 persons have been beaten by snakes across various internally displaced persons camps in Benue State. The incident happened in 3 camps within the last 2 weeks. James Lokbu, Executive Secretary of the Benue State Emergency Management Agency, Benue SEMA, disclosed the figure during a press briefing in Makurdi. He informed journalists during the briefing held ahead of the monthly relief distribution to displaced persons in the state that none of the victims died due to prompt medical attention they received. Justice Emeka Nwite of a federal high court in Abuja has granted 10 End Bad Governance protesters who were arrested and detained for treason, among others, to a bail in the sum of 10 million naira each and one surety in like sum. While delivering the ruling, the trial judge held that Nigeria's criminal justice system has its stipulations for the prosecutor and the defendant. Justice Nwite agreed with the argument of the first, second, and fourth defendants' counsel Abubakar Marshal, that anybody charged with a criminal offense must be presumed innocent until proven guilty. The Imo State government says it has no plan to rig the forthcoming local government election as alleged by the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP. The government further declared that going by the popularity of Governor Hope Uzodinma based on his quantum people-oriented projects scattered across the state, the ruling All Progressives Congress APC will post overwhelming success in the election. The State Commissioner for Information, Public Orientation and Strategy, Honorable Declan Emelumba, says it was very insulting for PDP to accuse the governor of smuggling an already written result to ISEC. The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, has announced plans to establish a public relations and leadership university in Nasarawa State. Speaking in Abuja during the inauguration of the 74-man project implementation committee of the university, the chairman of NIPR, Dr. Ike Neliaku, says it would be situated in Nasarawa because the government offered a suitable location. Neliaku says the proposed university was to train leaders to not only communicate effectively, but also speak on their visions and achievements. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has disclosed that at least 20 aspirants in the forthcoming Kano State local government election have tested positive for multiple drugs. This development, part of a crackdown on drug use among candidates, has raised concerns about the integrity of the upcoming elections. The NDLEA commander in Kano, Abubakar Ahmed, confirmed that the aspirants, all from the ruling New Nigeria People's Party, tested positive for substances including opioids, THC, the active ingredient in cannabis, and nicotine. The Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has admonished traditional rulers not to use their privileged positions to victimize their opponents and those who did not support them during the process of ascension to the ancestral throne. Fubara says the monarchs should rather see themselves as fathers and kings to all without prejudice. The governor urged the royal fathers to work with all sections of their subjects in their domains with fatherly hearts in order to promote peaceful coexistence, harmony, and enduring development. You're watching News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When News Cycle returned, federal government's dollar bond attracted $900 million subscription. Details of this and more after this break. Please stay with us. Live broadcast of the News Cycle. In business, Nigeria's first ever foreign currency domestic bond has secured $900 million in subscriptions. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, revealed this while discussing the results of the historic bond issuance. He noted that the oversubscription reflects investor confidence in Nigeria's economic stability and potential for growth. Edun explained that the successful issuance of the domestic dollar bond marks a significant step in the government's efforts to deepen economic growth and promote financial inclusion. Nigeria's crude oil production increased from 1.307 million barrels per day in July to 1.352 million barrels per day in August, according to the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries in its September monthly oil market report. OPEC reported that the average daily crude production rose marginally by 45,000 barrels per day, based on information obtained through direct communication with the Nigerian government. The Nigerian Ports Authority, NPA, has intervened and stopped disruption of cargo evacuation at the nation's seaports and the planned strike to be embarked upon by maritime truck owners over alleged extortion and vandalization of trucks by miscreants on Port Access Road. The managing director of NPA, Abubakar Dantosho, says the nation's economy cannot be shut down at this critical moment. Dantosho, who was represented by the Executive Director, Marine and Operations Engineer Olalekon Badmus, said the authority will work with the Lagos State Government and the Police High Command to urgently address truckers' concerns and prevent any down tools. The Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Bank of Industry, and some financial institutions will be discussing the impact of the current recapitalization on the real sector at the 2024 Finance Correspondents Association of Nigeria Conference. A statement by the organization noted that the event will address Nigeria's ambitious goal of achieving a $1 trillion economy. On the foreign scene, ex-U.S. President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris faced each other on the debate stage Tuesday night for the first. The race is tied between the two candidates. Among registered voters, Harris leads Trump by 1 point, 49% to 48%, according to the latest PBS NPR Marist poll. The result falls within the margin of error. The ABC debate marks the first face-to-face meeting between Harris, who is 59, and Trump, who is 78. 5 Palestinians have been killed in an Israeli airstrike in the north of the occupied West Bank. The Palestinian Red Crescent say a drone targeted a group of 5 young men near a mosque in the city of Tubas at dawn on Wednesday, and an ambulance crew transferred the bodies to the local government hospital. The Israel Defense Forces say an aircraft struck an armed terrorist cell during counter-terrorism activity by security forces in Tubas and the nearby town of Teman. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy have arrived in Kyiv on a joint visit as Ukraine continues to press for the right to use U.S. and British long-range missiles against Russia. The two men traveled together to the Ukrainian capital after talks in London. They are due to meet President Volodymyr Zelensky, who has repeatedly called on Washington to loosen the limits on U.S.-supplied weapons. Blinken say one of their goals was to hear directly from the Ukrainian leadership about their objectives and what they can do to support those needs. In sports, Technical Director of the Nigeria Football Federation, Austin Eguavoen, has denied stepping down as the interim coach of the Super Eagles after the 2025 AFCON qualifiers against the Benin Republic and Rwanda. Eguavoen was appointed by the NFF to take charge of the 2 games following the inability of the federation to secure the services of German coach Bruno Labbadia over what they call stringent German tax laws. Eguavoen was said to have stepped down as interim coach, but the gaffer has denied the reports ahead of next month's AFCON qualifiers doubleheader against Libya. Godfrey Omonohio has emerged champion of the 2024 Lady Captains inaugural tournament at the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan Golf Club in Abuja. The two-day tournament in honor of Isabella Ajuzie, the newly inaugurated Lady Captain of the club, ended on Sunday with no fewer than 200 golfers competing for honors in the various categories. Omonohio, playing off handicap 9 and returning a gross score of 73 and 64 net over 18 holes, notched the event's highest prize. Real Madrid star Rodrigo says Brazil needs Neymar if they are to chase a record 6th World Cup in 2026. The 23-year-old, who scored a first half goal to help Brazil beat Ecuador 1-0 on Friday and stop the 3-match losing streak in CONMEBOL qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, says Neymar is key to Brazil's success. And that's it on the Global News Cycle, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV, channel 365, StarTimes, channel 276, and free-to-air on NIGECOMSAT. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching, and see you again.